In this episode, what we're going to talk about is crafting relatable characters, crafting characters that people really care about. Why is this important? Listen, if you don't have a really solid character that people connect with on an emotional level, your story will flop. Nobody will want to see how it ends. And that's really why we want to do this, because we want people to go through our experiences and finish them. We want them to care about what happens at the end. We want them to connect with that character emotionally so that they remember the story, because that's huge, right? Remembering's huge in learning. And then the other piece is that then what happens also is the decisions that that character makes. If you're crafting an interactive story, then those become more important, more nuanced, more difficult to make, because they're not being made on behalf of the player. They're made on behalf of the character. And soon, if you've crafted that person really well, they become the same person. Kind of cool, right? So if that sounds cool and you want to get into some deconstructing some movies with me, let's get into it like right now. All right, so let's get into this. This is one of the most fun movies ever for this, and it's called Gravity. Now, if you haven't seen Gravity, Gravity is about astronauts in space. Now, if you think about it, the movie opens and you've got people floating in space. One of them is played by Mr. George Clooney, whom I love. He's a great actor all around. He's in a spacesuit. He's floating around with a jetpack. There's George Clooney. That's my best rendition. And then over here is Sandra Bullock. There's another person too here. I don't remember that person's name. But Sandra Bullock's over here. And Sandra Bullock is also in obviously a spacesuit, and she's working on something that is more technical and fixing it, trying to fix some sort of module while she's talking to Houston. And George Clooney got a new jetpack, and what he's doing is he's testing it out and basically flying around here like a mad person. Now, of course, all of this is on the backdrop of there's Earth in the background. Ew. Okay. So, why am I talking about Gravity? What the hell? Okay, listen. One of the things that I want you to consider is that 99% of people in the world don't know any astronauts. 99% of people in the world don't know what it's like to become an astronaut or what it takes to become an astronaut. 99% of people in the world have never been to space. So all of a sudden, you have this context about people you don't know, you don't care about. Oh, we better give, Our Lady here, she's actually not feeling too good in the beginning of the movie. So we're going to give her one of those Cyclops sad faces. All right. What's cool with our experiences that we craft usually for adult learners that are in the context of their own workplace. So you kind of have an advantage because you get to just say, okay, where are they doing this? It's a factory, or it's an office, or it's some other place, right? Where people actually work and live and all those other things. Oh, they're at home. And what happens is that the context, I think what happens is we feel that the context is enough. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. Not only do people need to see where they work, and that for us is very easy to do because we're creating things for when they apply those things, it will happen in a workplace. But we need to craft characters that those people see in that workplace that they connect with. One of the challenges that happens is when we have a company, let's say of 5,000 people that we're designing an interactive story for, we get a lot of this noise. And the noise says, and I want you to find the signal in that noise. The noise says, we have to make a story that everybody will resonate with. Therefore, the story has to have all these characters that everybody will resonate with. Basically, what they're saying is make it so vanilla, make it so blob, make it so blah and blob that nobody will recognize anybody in those stories. And this is the exact opposite of what I advise you to do. Now, let's get back into Gravity to illustrate this point. So you've got these two astronauts, people I will never meet or really connect with, unless you go to see our favorite Canadian, Christopher Hadfield, do one of his presentations one day. Super awesome. Okay, so we've got this dude, Clooney. He's testing out the jetpack, but he happens to mention that one of the things that he loves is his cars. And then he mentions all these old cars, the Corvette, the Chevy, and how he was zooming around, test driving those, how he likes them so much better. Then he mentions some lady who, she ran away from him. He's not lucky in love. Then one of the guys that's down here, he does something, he gets applause because he fixes some kind of module or some kind of battery pack on this ship, and he dances the Macarena. He gets all excited. And then there's Sandra Bullock, who at this point in the story, she's complaining about being nauseous and not being able to keep her lunch down because she's, there's no gravity. That's awesome, right? Now, the reality is, when in the world would we be privy to this kind of conversation? It's because this is strategically done, because in order for us to follow through and want to see how the rest of the movie unfolds for these human beings, if we don't care about them, we will not watch the movie. We will not want to see how it ends. So caring is essential. And so the way we do that, the way we care, is by creating relatable characters. And so what happens is, when we do this, the caring is a part of it, but it comes from creating people that could be like us in a way that we could relate to them. So that means when he's zipping around, he also plays country music. He likes country music, and then Sandra says, "Can you please shut that off?" Right? Because it's probably making her more nauseous. But these are the pieces that are essential for us to say, hey, this is just a dude who likes fast cars, and he's unlucky in love, and he loves country music. This guy loves to dance when he wins, when he gets applause. And this lady gets really sick when she's up, and I would be sick too. Those are those details. Unless it's a bad movie and you don't care about the character at the end. And I've experienced those as well. So if you go through some movies and you're like, oh, this person dies, and you're like, I don't care. That's a poorly set up movie. That means that the producers, the directors, the creatives didn't craft a character that you would care about to see how the story actually ends. And this is huge. So in other videos, I've talked about creating relatable characters, and we're really I'm just gonna dig into this. We're gonna do a series of just how to craft this relatable human person for yourself. We're really going to dig deep into how to craft a relatable character over a series of videos in the next couple of episodes. And the reason I wanted to really bring this up is because you see how important it is to having people really connect with your character, how important that is to everything else that happens afterwards, right? And like I said, we sometimes can get a little bit overwhelmed with all the weird advice we're getting from people who are not other storytellers, and also this expectation that our story is supposed to resonate with everybody. And what's funny is that the advice that we get about it resonating with everybody is the exact opposite of what we need to do. So I'm going to show you in this video 2 areas that you need to focus on in order to actually craft a really meaningful character, and how deep you need to go in order to do that. Okay, so first off, let's talk about this idea of the avatar. So the avatar that you're crafting for your interactive story really comes from the research that you've done about who this interactive experience is going to help. And the avatar really represents your player, your user, your end user. But what's really cool is that later the avatar becomes the character. They influence who that person is in your story. And what's wonderful is that if you craft a really meaningful avatar for yourself, and you are doing that because the more closely that person resembles a real person, the more close for you, not that they have to resemble a real person in any way. They're resembling the person in as much as you've drawn characteristics that are a composite of the people that you've interviewed, the SMEs, the practitioners, and your own research. But the avatar is is in some way becomes a real person to you. And there needs to become a real person to you. That you need to become somebody who cares about that person and who makes decisions on behalf of that avatar, because that empathy helps you craft a better product. You always have to have empathy for the end user. And so that avatar represents that person, represents who you're going to look at their picture. You're going to maybe Google the name of this avatar, and you always have to name them. They're going to be maybe in the last video is Patrick, and I like that name. Why not? Patrick Jones. And Patrick Jones is somebody that I care about, and I want to have them have a great experience when they're going through my story. Now, sometimes that ends up also influencing who my character is going to be in my story, and that's totally fine as well. Now, when you're crafting your Patrick Jones, here's some things that most people do, and here's some things that I suggest you do as well. So you're going to have two categories really that characteristics fall into. One set of characteristics is going to be your demographics. So the demographics are pretty easy for a lot of people, and I think that this is going to be enough in order for you to craft a character, and it's not. It's not even enough for you to craft a really good avatar for your project. So the demographics are going to be like, you know, their age, gender, occupation, you know, all that surface stuff. Family, you know, are they married? Location, all kinds of, you know, the stuff you can just, you'd have on a census, right? And then we're going to get into things that are psychographics. So psychographics are more of the stuff that happens inside. Oh, here you can even include things like hobbies. Psychographics are things like what keeps them up at night? What keeps them up at night? What drives them? What do they care about? What do they do on their weekends for fun? What do they think is fun? What do they think is fun? What makes them cry? What makes them laugh? What do they have anxiety about? Anxiety. What I'm trying to do here is, trying to figure out who they are right now, who this person really is. Basically, the idea is that when you've written up this person, they become a person for you. You're the creative director, right? You got to be this person. What happens is they now have flaws. They have things that motivate them, that influence them. And then what happens is, because they're multidimensional, it's easier for you to craft that story when you understand who this person really is. Even if, you know, maybe 50% of them is made up by you. Now, if you're enjoying this content, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you like the video to let me know that you want more and you like this kind of content about storytelling and interactive stories and how to craft, you know, really meaningful interactive experiences for people. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because there will be more videos coming. Now, what I want you to think about is, now at the end of this, you're going to have this product. The product's going to be a piece of paper. It's going to have a picture that you found of somebody that represents Patrick Jones. You're also going to have written up basically who they are. What do they do? And what does their perfect day look like? What does their terrible day look like? What do they struggle with? In other words, if Patrick Jones came into my office, saw that on the wall, and he picked it up, he'd be like, wow, Anna knows me. It's like she ripped a page out of my diary and she knows everything about me. And it's so detailed and it's so good. Now, here's the thing that happens. I want you to think about this person, this avatar that you're designing, as almost this litmus test, because every time you craft something for this person, you're going to say, will they resonate with this? Will they care about this? Will this influence them in the right way? All those things are going to be now from the perspective you have this other person. You care about them. You want to do what's best for them. You want to help them. And this helps you do that by digging deeper, not just the demographics. Those are just shallow things that don't really represent a person. They're just puts them in this one category, but it doesn't tell you on the individual level about Patrick Jones, because there could be 100 people that fit this demographic, and each of them, their psychographics would be completely different from each other. Now, I want you to think about also back to this idea of Gravity, that movie where you have people who are completely removed, but by giving them those specific nuances and details, now all of a sudden I care about Sandra Bullock's character. I care about George Clooney's character because they're relatable in a way that I don't like country music, I don't like fast cars maybe, and I don't get nauseous at heights, but they do, and those are their specific characteristics that make them human. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, the reason we're doing this, the reason we're taking such care about developing the character, about making sure that they're relatable, making sure that people care about them, is because our story will flop if that doesn't happen. When you connect with a character deeply, you will, as I've said before, connect with them on an emotional level. Emotion is essential to good memory. And if you can make us care about that character, and the memory is connected with an emotional connection as well, it sticks deeper. Most of your biggest memories from childhood are probably triggered by attached to a really deep emotional event. And so we're trying to create an emotional event because it'll make that story stick even deeper, make people remember that story. The other thing we want to do is, most people, when they go through e-learning, what do? They start it and they just get bored, distracted, something else comes up and they don't finish it. Now, what we're doing by creating a character that people care about and want to see, we're opening those loops, what happens is we're actually increasing the propensity of people finishing those experiences at first shot, or at least coming back to them because they want to know how it ends. This is huge. And then the other piece with crafting a character that now you're looking at from this different perspective is this idea that every time now a decision comes up, it means something more, because now, for Patrick, if his motivation is different than mine, I'm looking at it from his point of view. And that's super important. That's one of the things, I wrote this quote here from Neil Gaiman, and I wanted to read it to you because I think it's so important, because this is what we're trying to go for. Neil Gaiman said, "Fiction gives us empathy. It puts us inside the minds of other people, gives us the gift of seeing the world through their eyes. Fiction is a lie that tells us true things over and over." And that's really what we're trying to do with our stories. We're trying to get people to look at the world through a different lens. And if you craft a story in the right way, what happens is people stop having that immediate reaction of being challenged, which is their ego, saying, "Oh, that's not me, I wouldn't do that." What happens is, if they get lost in that character, then what happens is they let their guard down, because it's not about them. It's about them helping that character that they've connected deeply with. And now it is about making decisions and seeing the world through that character's eyes. Now, this is huge because this is a way for you to introduce ideas that the person would initially be resistant to. Maybe they have a bias that you're trying to overcome. Maybe they're coming in with experiences that they deem are enough. And now all of a sudden, through this character's, decisions and perspective and experiences, they're seeing that there are people who have experience, but they might be messing it up because of the way they think about them. Your interactive story, or story period, is a piece of persuasion. It really is. And all learning is persuasion. Somebody's doing something one way and we're trying to persuade them there's a better way. And along the way, we have to sell them on that journey. And that's really what stories do. They sell you, they show you a future that could be yours if you just take the same steps. And by separating ourselves from the character, but then later almost becoming that character, as in that could be me, we're able to instill some new lessons in the person that maybe in the beginning, if they were just given a sheet of best practices, would have said, I'm already good, thanks, I don't need this. But now they get to see that play out differently while they're also in charge of the story, which is an amazing opportunity for us, right? So I hope you enjoyed walking through Gravity. If you haven't seen it, I hope you check it out because it's super awesome. But one of the things that I just wanted to bring up is that I love movies, and the fact that I get to do this for a living is so fun, and I want you to embrace it the same way. Have fun with this. This is not like, there's not a super set formula. I say, learn the rules before you break them, but then break them. Have fun with it. Have fun with your avatar. Make them a real quirky, awesome person that you care about. And if this sounds like something that you want to do forever and you want to really deeply explore, maybe talk through movies with other people who are just as interested in crafting interactive experiences that motivate, persuade, and inspire people to action, then I'd love to talk to you about joining our interactive storytelling program. It's not for everybody because it is exclusively around making sure that you get awesome at crafting interactive stories. And so if that sounds like something that would just absolutely intrigue you and you want to figure out what it takes to become an interactive storyteller or to get good at this craft of storytelling, because as far as I'm concerned, technology is going to move at light speed, but storytelling and good frameworks are not. So if you have that base, if you have that skill, you can apply it to anything that comes your way. So I think that's the magic of being a really good storyteller. So if it sounds like something you want to be a part of or you want to explore what it takes, I'll put the link to booking a Zoom session with me or a call, and I'll put that in a description below. Or if you're listening on the podcast, it'll also be linked underneath in the description for the podcast itself. So that's awesome that you're listening there. I appreciate it. Definitely come through on the YouTube channel for some visuals if that is, if that's helpful. But I pretty much went over everything in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give me a like so that I know that you did enjoy it. And also, if you're new here, subscribe. If storytelling is your game, then we can get awesome together, and I'll be putting out more and more videos about character development and other aspects of developing really powerful, persuasive stories. So until then, take care, my friends. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.